President Trump is spending this Memorial Day in Japan. He's joining the Japanese Prime Minister for some bilateral talks today. So how is Mr. Trump faring on the world stage? Let's talk about it this morning with Republican strategist Jackie Bally and Democratic strategist Dallas Jones. Again, thank you for being here on this Memorial Day.
Our pleasure.
Now, the President and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have been throwing barbs at each other. Will there ever be a time where they'll work together?
Time out, right? Well, first of all, the trip to Japan is we're going to see a lot of kumbaya moments because this is one of our largest allies. There's a true friendship between the Prime Minister of Japan and the President. So discussions about a trade, talking about trade barriers and exports will be delayed, probably, at least serious discussions, until after the elections in Japan. But for the most part, the President does very well on foreign trips and in foreign affairs, and it's going to be a good trip for him. As far as Nancy Pelosi and the President, that probably won't happen. They're just getting started until the election. This is just the pre-game before we see the 2020 election.
So do you think it's going to last until the election?
Well, first of all, it started long before the election. It started with the election of this president. And until the president chooses to prioritize the interests of the American people over politics and over throwing temper tantrums and over this type of rhetoric in our politics, no, I don't think they're ever going to get along. I think that the Democrats in the House have a job to do. This president is going out of his way to obstruct them doing that job. And I think as long as that continues, the Speaker of the House, who is the leader of the House, who is Mrs. Pelosi, will continue to fight for the values and the causes of the Democratic Party and what they believe is in the best interest of the country, in spite of this president's dictatorial leadership style.
Now, many of those running for president on the Democratic side are kind of looking for an endorsement from one particular congresswoman, and that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Does her endorsement really matter? And I'm going to address this to you.
Well, I think it matters because I think what Representative Ocasio-Cortez represents is a faction of the Democratic Party that is rising, that is looking towards new leadership, that is looking towards more progressivism in the party, and I think that she has come in a force. Her story is one that people can relate to. Coming to Congress from being a waitress, it makes everyday Americans and young people feel like they can stand up and have their voices and their values heard. And in a field of candidates that are trying to appeal to a new voter base and trying to find their place, this particular part of the Democratic Party is going to be essential, and it is led by ACO.
Now, Jackie, a lot of Republicans have been very critical of Ocasio.
Well, you see a break in the Democratic Party. You have a lot of progressives and a lot of people who lean to the left, like Ms. Ocasio, and then you have more mainstream Democrats. And so, you know, you have 32, the last whip count was 32 Democrats who are pushing for impeachment talks. And Nancy Pelosi is going to have to unify her party because she has said repeatedly that she does not want impeachment because she knows that not only will it hurt her own party, it will hurt the country. Her own voters have said overwhelmingly that it's time to move on. It's time for them to legislate. Let's forget all of the litigation. Let's look at infrastructure. Let's look at immigration reform. Really issues, really true issues, instead of attacking the president day in and day out, which is what the Democrats have been doing, and many to the far left have been leading that charge.
Well, we could discuss this for eons as we get closer to the 2020 election. But thank you very much, both of you, for coming in on this Memorial Day.
Thank you.
It's going to be here.